morning. Welcome to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ, 750 AM, 312-255-8408. We are again live streaming here from our studio for Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowicz, the Rector of Holy Name Cathedral, and co-hosting Mark Teresi, Executive Director of Holy Name Cathedral. Mark, how are you this morning?
Very good, very good. Nice little wintry chill in the air.
Yeah, you figure Saturday, All Hallows Eve, Halloween, Sunday, November 1, All Saints Day. A week from today, November 2, All Souls Day. So, as much as we're going through COVID-19, the time is flying.
We have 4 granddaughters, and they sent a picture dressed for Halloween. And our little one, Nellie, who's 5 months old, had big curlers in her hat. They were Grease. They were all the characters from Grease, and she looked so cute.
Now, do you remember, what was your first Halloween outfit? Do you remember?
Might have been Casper.
I remember I was in kindergarten, so it'd be 62 years ago. I was Mr. Magoo.
Oh.
And I remember asking Bishop Barron, what was your very first costume you remember as a boy? He said he was dressed as a priest. He was a priest. I was Mr. Magoo.
And the rest is history.
The rest is history. So you were Casper the Friendly Ghost. Great program lined up, 312-255-8408. Oh, by the way, go Bears for tonight.
Yes.
Big game at the Los Angeles Rams. Bears are underdogs, which is it's okay, but you got to just go out there and, tough defense, and now they got to get a run game going and show some offense. So.
I hope people are watching on YouTube see your Bears.
Yeah, go Bears.
Yes, go Bears.
Go Chicago Bears. Dr. Edward Gordon is joining us this morning. He is the Grant Park Monument Commission individual. He has much to share with us about recent controversies regarding historic statues in public places and the call to remove some of these statues. The temporary removal of Christopher Columbus statues from Grant Park and Arrigo Park here in Chicago are just 2 small examples. So, Dr. Edward Gordon, welcome to the program this morning. How are you, Edward?
Fine. Aren't you going to ask me what costume I had?
What costume did you have when you were your earliest recollection, Edward?
Being a historian, Robin Hood.
Oh.
You were Robin. How old were you?
Oh, about 7.
I was going to say 19.
Be careful.
7 years old, and you were Robin Hood. How is
Elaine
Elaine doing?
Both of you better be very careful.
We'll try to be at our best behavior, Edward.
We're trying.
How is your lovely wife, Elaine, doing?
Well, she's listening in right now to note all our mistakes.
Good morning to you, Elaine. And Edward and Elaine, the Gordons are very active at the cathedral. Now, this whole topic, Edward, is so important. So much has transpired since the summertime.
Yes.
Removal of this statue or this one. Give us some of the background and the historicity that involves removal of statues and the why of it.
Well, first of all, this is a historical issue. This is a social issue. It's an emotional issue. It's a political issue. It's many things going on at once. Let's take a look at the historical context. How do we judge whether a particular monument or statue is correct for today? Well, first of all, what was the purpose of the monument when it was put up? What was it honoring, all right? What did this person do in their life? Second, first of all, the purpose, and then what was intended to honor that they accomplished. And finally, is that purpose now overshadowed by subsequent history, meaning it doesn't really matter anymore? Or is the purpose, how is it still valued by our society? All right? So let's take a look at, first of all, the first question. When we honor someone in an issue that they accomplished in their life, we are taking a look at that particular issue. For Christopher Columbus, he was the first explorer to sail to the west. He was looking for China. He accidentally bumped into North and South America, right?
A little detour.
Right. Now, after that, an age of exploration swept Europe. Many other people followed him, but he was the first one to start. If you read Samuel Eliot Morrison's biography of Christopher Columbus, which is a classic on the topic, you will see that over and over and over again. Secondly, did this man have problems? Was he perfect? No. And what about the age in which he lived? Is that age, 1492, any different than 2020? Yes, I think it is. Mm-hmm. Do the things they valued in 1492, is it the same as today? Well, let's see. Slavery was endemic across the whole world then. Europe, Africa, Asia, all over. Even in the Americas, Native American tribes enslaved one another. Well, slavery still exists today. We all know that, and that's unfortunate, and it's awful. But we've outlawed it. All major countries have basically outlawed it, as far as we know. So if we use historical presentism, the values we have today, and project that back on Christopher Columbus, how does he look? Not very good. Not very good at all. There are things going on there. Let's see. Does the Roman Catholic Church still have the Inquisition? Are we still burning people at the stake? Well, no. Well, we did it then. Well, that means that the Catholic Church today is irrelevant. Well, no, that was a long time ago, and things have changed, haven't they? No. The Church persecuted Jews in 1492. Do we do that today? Well, I don't think so. So you have to be very careful, because what's happening now, of course, is that in the United States, 700,000 Americans died in the Civil War to pass that 13th Amendment that ended slavery in 1865. And by the way, for our listeners, it were the Republicans who were fighting to pass that amendment, and the Democrats were bitterly opposed to passing that amendment in our Congress, not just the South, which seems strange to us, doesn't it? In certain contexts today, looking at politics.
Now, Ed, can I back up a little bit just so people understand? So you're on the Grant Park Monument Commission.
Yes, there's a number of people on the commission. Yeah. This is the Friends of the Grant Park, and I was asked to serve on the commission as a historian to provide context.
Now, what's interesting to me is 12 months ago, nobody ever heard of the Grant Park Monument Commission.
Oh, it's been around for a long time.
These are the Friends. In terms of your visibility now, in terms of these political, social issues, where does your decision making fit in?
Well, the commission will make a recommendation to the board of directors of the Friends of Grant Park. Okay. They, in turn, will make a recommendation to the mayor. The mayor makes the final decision.
And then can you just describe for the listeners the Christopher Columbus, the removal of that statue? How did that happen?
That happened, as far as I can tell, because anarchists wanted to blow the statue up. And as far as I can tell, of course, that presented a life threat to the people and also to the police officers guarding it. So the mayor took the statue and stored it somewhere. We don't know. I don't know where it is. All right. But remember now, this all started because of the racial incidents, the murders that occurred, the African Americans that were shot by police. And the Black Lives Matter movement calls for the removal of monuments to people that they judge violate their ideology and moral standards. Now, let's face it. The Black Lives Matter movement wants to end acts of violence and injustice participated by racism, and it calls for the recognition of minority achievements throughout the course of U.S. history. And is this a systemic problem that still exists in the United States today? Yes, the answer is yes. It existed during the Civil War, after the Civil War. It certainly existed in the times of Christopher Columbus. The question, though, is if you use historical presentism to judge past events, such as Christopher Columbus, it begins to use a cancel culture and identity politics to expunge those with whom they disagree from history.
No, say more about that, Edward. Say more about that.
Well, in other words, there's a famous book that Orwell wrote, George Orwell, called 1984. And in the book, he makes the statement, every statue and street and building has to be renamed. Every date has to be changed. History has stopped. Nothing exists except an endless present in which the party in power is always right. All right? So are we going to basically, every time there is a change in a political party in America or a mass movement, cancel out the background? Such as, there are people that now say Abraham Lincoln was a bigot. He did not believe in racial equality. All of his statues should be removed. George Washington had slaves. Tear down the Washington Monument. Tear down the Lincoln Memorial. Jefferson had slaves. Destroy the Jefferson Memorial. All right? Who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Thomas Jefferson. Who was President of the United States that did the important Louisiana Purchase? Did George Washington lead the army that helped us to end the colonial period with Great Britain? Was he the one that established many of the traditions, rules, and regulations of the presidency and helped bring the country together? What about the achievements of these men? Were they perfect? Hey, George even had wooden teeth. He wasn't perfect, right? But my point is, no one is perfect. As a historian, I could take any historical figure or contemporary figure, and I can point out many problems that they have. And maybe no one deserves a statue.
Would your criteria now be different than it was a year ago in terms of recommending?
No.
No?
No, it would not.
What is the criteria? How do you...
Well, again, I just named it. I just told you. What was the purpose in putting the statue up to begin with? Were we memorializing Christopher Columbus as what they say, a murderer and slaver? Is that why the statue was put up? Is that why the Columbian Exposition was named after Christopher Columbus? Is that why the first commemorative stamp issued by the U.S. government was a commemorative stamp honoring Christopher Columbus? Is that why the city of Columbus, Ohio, is named after Columbus, or the street here named after Columbus?
So then, Edward, are you actually saying that if you really look at it and start nitpicking, you could remove every statue from this country, rename almost every city in this country, and begin from ground zero?
I could tear down every saint in the Catholic Church if I did that.
I was just going to say
Mother Teresa had a terrible temper. She was not perfect. But did she have a tremendous life of helping other people? Yes, she did. So these are human beings. And most importantly, again, social mores change. At the time of Christopher Columbus, slavery was practiced around the world. It was wrong. It's morally wrong. We had to fight a civil war. The Supreme Court of the United States upheld slavery until that civil war. The Supreme Court of the United States of America upheld the concept of the sterilization of people who they thought were biologically inferior. In fact, the Nazis, the Germans, based their initial laws on our practices in the 1920s. We didn't end those practices to the 1970s. The United States is not a perfect moral country. And who is going to judge this now? Are we going to have the group that has the most violent mobs who in the end can tear down statues and threaten people's lives? Are mobs going to dictate the social policy of the United States? There are people that say that we should remove Christopher Columbus's statue permanently from Grant Park because it threatens the lives of people. Well, that is surrendering to the anarchists.
It sure is. And we're going to take a little break now. WNDZ 750 AM on your dial, 312-255-8408. Father Greg Sakowicz here, Mark Teresi. We're safe distancing as we talk to Dr. Ed Gordon about the Grant Park Monument Commission and how are we looking at the future in terms of how we will honor our folks who have really changed lives and saved lives and moved us forward. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Throughout our nation and our world, people of all faiths have recently been joining fervently in all kinds of prayer. They have found that coming together in prayer is a source of comfort and strength. In this spirit of unity, the Archdiocese of Chicago has introduced a call to prayer, a telephone line dedicated to prayer. If you would like to join with another person in prayer, call 312-741-3388. This line is staffed from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. daily with parishioners from across the Archdiocese of Chicago. These volunteers are here to listen to you, offer support, and pray with you. A call to prayer includes a 24-hour voicemail and email options as well. Experience this wonderful opportunity to join with people just like you who trust in the power of prayer. That phone number again is 312-741-3388. Let's pray together today.
You're invited to Keep Hope Alive 2020, the online benefit and celebration of the Archdiocese of Chicago's Immigration Ministry and their nationwide program, Pastoral Migratoria. Join us virtually on the evening of Thursday, October 29th for a night filled with music, camaraderie, and inspiring speakers. Cardinal Blaise Supich and Sister Norma Pimentel of Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley, who was recently recognized as one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people, will be joining us to help keep hope alive. Now, more than ever, the immigrant community, both here in the Archdiocese of Chicago and across the United States, needs the leadership formation and accompaniment that Pastoral Migratoria provides. Registration is free, and sponsorship and advertising opportunities are available. Visit www.keephopealive2020.org for more information and to register. Again, that's www.keephopealive2020.org.
When you think of the word neighbor, warm and friendly thoughts come to mind. Think of smiles across the yard, positive wishes, and looking out for one another on an ongoing basis. Catholic Charities Neighbors in Need Fund inspires all of these and much more. We've seen an unprecedented number of requests for assistance this year from people who have never needed help before. When you make your gift to the Neighbors in Need Fund, you are igniting hope in the lives of your most vulnerable neighbors, especially individuals and families who continue to struggle to put food on the table and keep a roof over their heads. Your gift will give them the resources they need to overcome the unexpected, very serious circumstances in which they find themselves now. Give online at CatholicCharities.net or call 312-948-6087. That's 312-948-6087. Catholic Charities Neighbors in Need Fund. Thank you for helping build a world of kindness, one neighbor to another.
We're back, WNDZ, 750 AM on your dial, 312-255-8408. Father Greg Sakowicz here, Mark Teresi. We're safe distancing as we talk
Live
on the
streaming.
phone. Pardon me?
Live streaming this morning.
We're live streaming. We're talking to Dr. Ed Gordon, and at least I didn't call you father this time. Usually I call you father.
Remember one time we called her
Father Ed
sister?
Gordon.
No.
So here's my question.
Yes.
There's fallout and residue from the decision that removed Christopher Columbus from the Italian community. I've read so many articles about wonderfully talented, sacrificing Italians in the Chicago area that really see this as an affront
They're
to
angry.
all their good work. Yeah, they're angry. That's the way to put it.
They're angry.
So what's your take on that, Ed?
Well, of course, Christopher Columbus came from Genoa, Italy, and they are identifying this as an affront to the Italians. I think it's much broader than that. I don't think it's just the Italians who should be concerned. I think every American should be concerned because, again, The issue here is the rewriting of history and basically erasing this man from the history books. And I think that that's wrong. Now, there are others in our society who have made contributions over the history of our country and before that, as during the colonial period, who have been ignored. Do they deserve statues in Grant Park or other places? Of course they do. I am not attempting to say, well, the figures of the past are the only ones that we've identified thus far who deserve it. No one else in the past deserves to be honored. That's not true. But what I am saying is that in a case like Christopher Columbus, let us restore the statue at a time where there will not be violence, and let us put a marker there explaining the context and why he is honored and the context of that time and today, so that people understand why that statue is still there. Most people, those who do not know history are doomed to relive it.
Mm-hmm. It's a great line.
Do we want to start burning our books that we don't agree with? We want to follow what the Nazis did, what the communists in the Soviet Union did? Do we have to have our little red book like Mao Zedong had in China and everything else had to be destroyed? Is that the road that we really want to take for the United States of America? There are people in our society who believe that the history of the United States is only one of oppression and racism. I disagree. I'm not going to dismiss 200 years of efforts by our forefathers, our parents, to fully implement the values that are enshrined in America's founding documents. And if we follow that reasoning, it's difficult to understand why Frederick Douglass, a African-American who earned his freedom, got his freedom before the Civil War, he defended the U.S. Constitution. He said it was a, quote, a glorious document, and his celebration of the potential of our nation based in the ideal of inalienable rights. America is not perfect. The three of us know that.
Yeah, now, Edward, just to speak for a moment, because you're saying so many great things here, and that is, talk about we run the risk of destroying who we are when you feel you have to destroy the entire past and create a new.
That's right. Well, what we're doing is we are pandering to certain people in society who they have judged what is politically correct. They have judged whether or not the speech codes, what you can and cannot say, safe zones now in universities, you can't upset students by talking about certain things, the purging of independent-minded scholarship. That is not the purpose of a university, and it certainly is not the purpose of the United States of America.
Now, just also talk for a moment how we've gone way beyond just Christopher Columbus, but other statues are coming down, or people are saying should come down. I've heard of the Blessed Virgin Mary statues being desecrated.
In churches, right?
Exactly. And
well, Uniparacera in California, who founded the missions of California, that he was a slaver, a murderer, etc. That was not the purpose of Uniparacera and the Franciscans who manned those missions. And to say it was, people certainly ignore what the missions did. In fact, I can make the case, as someone, I do programs on the California missions. Native Americans died in contact with Europeans. They died in Puritan New England, where they set up Christian villages to convert them to Puritanism. They died at the Spanish missions. They died in missions in Mexico and South America. And the chief culprit of this were what we're experiencing today. Viruses that Native Americans simply had no resistance toward. There were Native American Indian or Native Americans in California who became priests at the missions and were sent to Rome to study. Most of them died. Why? They were tortured. They were enslaved. No, they died of viruses that they had no defense.
With their immune system,
etc. Okay? So when we talk about these things, I think people need to study their history, or maybe we need to teach history. We need better history teachers. I taught history for many years. Many students would complain to me that history was dry and boring, etc. And that's true. If you don't know the story, the human story, if you haven't read history as I have for my entire life, and we can, history is the story of human lives. It's not something that's dusty and dull and dead and useless.
That's a good point.
Ed, what's the future for the commission and for the city as you look to honor future folks?
Well, if other statues, monuments, are also challenged, this commission again will look at those monuments and give their recommendation on what to do with them. Remember, there's a difference between Christopher Columbus and a statue to Jefferson Davis, the first and only president of the Confederate States of America. Mm-hmm. Why was that statue erected in Richmond? That statue was erected to honor him as the president of the Confederate States of America, which was a slave culture.
Right.
Again, the statue of Christopher Columbus that was put up was not honoring him for importing slaves to Spain, a practice that Ferdinand and Isabella stopped. They did not want a slave trade in Native Americans back to Spain. It was put up to honor what he did in terms of initialing the tremendous age of discovery that occurred. There are other aspects of his life that are wrong, but that achievement was very important at that time and had a major impact on European history and in the history of the Americas from that point on. And there is no way in which that fact can be erased.
Edward, we have to bring this segment to a close. I want to thank you very much for joining us. And there is so much more in this topic, but also that point you made earlier, but you made a lot of great points about, even if you look historically, we'd have to undo all the saints in our Catholic tradition because none of them were perfect.
Well, many of them weren't. I don't know about St. Francis. But he had an earlier life that wasn't too hot, right? All right. So.
On that beautiful note, I want to thank in a very special way Dr. Edward Gordon for joining us here in the program today of Catholic Chicago, and he is on the Grand Park Monument Commission. Edward, you'll be back on again, I think it is on Thursday.
And we're going to talk about
COVID-19,
yes.
Which unfortunately, when you were back on the program in March, when the COVID had just started, you said to all of us listeners, folks, this is going to be a long run. That's what you said to us.
He said we were in the second inning.
You were in the second, right? Back in late March, you said we're in the second inning of the game, if this were baseball. And that was back in March, and guess what? You are right. Before, out of curiosity, what inning are we in right now with COVID-19?
I would say we're probably in the fourth or fifth.
Wow. Okay, on that note, we'll see you Thursday. So thank you again to Dr. Edward Gordon. Give our love to Elaine. 312-255-8408. Mark and I are socially distancing here with these masks on. And our again, number 312-255-8408. Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Teresi, stay with us. And again, do not touch that dial.
Catholic Charities After Supper Visions program offers guests of our Tuesday night supper the opportunity to learn the art of photography. These talented guests, who are often experiencing homelessness, are offered disposable digital cameras, and they work with volunteer professional photographers to learn the basics of taking photos. Then the artists go out and capture images on film of anything they find to be beautiful or interesting in the world. Their photos are amazing. Visit AfterSupperVisions.com to learn more about the artists and their artwork. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn too. At After Supper Visions, we are developing film, talent, and hope. It has been inspiring to see how individuals, families, and communities have found ways to help one another throughout 2020. At Catholic Charities, we usually have 35 to 40 events a year where we gather and enjoy time together in support of important programs and services, while raising critical funds that allow us to respond to the growing number of people who are in need of the most basic necessities in life. Many of our events are now virtual. If you would like to be a sponsor for one of these events, please call 312-948-6864. That's 312-948-6864. Also, visit us at CatholicCharities.net/events and follow us on social media too. We so look forward to when we can resume our events in person and reconnect with our friends and partners throughout Chicagoland. For now, please consider donating to Catholic Charities so our vital work can continue. Thousands of people in Chicago count on Catholic Charities every day. Please help us help them today. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. Every Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Archdiocese of Chicago presents programming about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 312-255-8408. The time in Chicago is now 8:32 on this rather cold Monday morning in Chicago. It's going to be, I think, in the 40s all week and might be a little warm up for the weekend. And Father Greg Sakowicz and Mark Teresi. And Mark, we'd be remiss, but heartfelt congratulations to the newly elect-to-be Cardinal Wilton Gregory. And what a tremendous priest, bishop, and now cardinal. I met Wilton when he was a seminarian deacon assigned to Mary Seat of Wisdom in Park Ridge in 1972. And he's just an outstanding human being. And
Well,
Cardinal
he really is
Gregory.
a gift to the church. When I was at Mundelein, we honored him, his talk was so challenging to everybody. It was he does not sit still as an archbishop. He is in the forefront of the issues that are facing all of us as a church, and he speaks the truth.
He was ordained a priest in 1973, elevated to a bishop in 1983 at the age of 35. Then went to Belleville, I think it was, Atlanta, and then Washington, D.C. And just so congratulations to the newly elected Cardinal Wilton Gregory. Our prayers and love are with you and all of Chicago. We offer congratulations.
Hopefully
and much deserved, and he's really a man of God.
Hopefully when he's in Chicago at some point, maybe depending on this pandemic and everything, but at Holy Name Cathedral, we could welcome his friends and celebrate with him.
I'm not sure the cathedral would be big enough to welcome
wow.
all his friends.
Wow.
And we have a great program lined up, part 2 here. The annual Keep Hope Alive benefit is scheduled virtually this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Its theme this year is 15 Years United for Immigrant Justice. The event supports the Archdiocese of Chicago's Immigration Ministry and its National Pastoral Migratoria initiative, which has become a role model nationally for immigrant support. Joining us, not here in the studio, but by phone, are Elena Segura, the founder of Pastoral Migratoria, and Rich Daniels, chair of the Immigration Ministry Advisory Board. Elena, Rich, welcome to the program this morning. How are you both doing?
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Father Greg. It's an honor to be with you, as always.
Elena, how's your lovely daughter, Jennifer? Because when I was a pastor at St. Mary's in Evanston for 6 years, Elena and her daughter, Jennifer, very active in the parish. I knew exactly where they sat at church. And Elena and Jennifer never left Mass on a Sunday morning without a big hug with your beautiful daughter and with you. And
How
of
were
course-
Father Greg's homilies?
Oh, they were all, we always remember, of course.
Oh, so thank you very
Jennifer
much,
just-
Elena.
Yeah. She says hello to you, and she's enjoying very, very much.
Give her a big virtual
just
hug
her-
for me, too. And Rich,
Thank
are you
you.
there with us?
I'm here, Father Greg, Mark, Elena. Good morning.
Hey, congratulations, Rich, Grandpa.
No, hold it now. Time out. Now, what's the news here, Rich?
Fill us in, Rich.
Fill us in.
My son and daughter-in-law gave us our first grandchild this past Wednesday, Lucy Teresi. We're over the moon, delighted, and mom and baby and my son are all doing great. Everybody's happy, and they're back home now, and our first grandchild. So Kathy and I are just thrilled.
Oh,
Congratulations to Grandpa and Grandma. What did the little one weigh?
8 pounds, 4 ounces.
Whoa, that's good size.
She's a chunker. Yeah, absolutely. Take that for Grandpa.
It's a big boy.
That is wonderful news. I didn't hear that, Mark.
Yeah,
And,
it just happened.
So last Wednesday, so that would have been, what, October 21st. Oh, my God. Well, congratulations, Grandpa. So now,
Thank
listen, Elena and Rich, tell us about this whole ministry, what's coming up on Thursday evening. First of all, it's Thursday evening at 6:30 p.m. How can people join?
Oh, they can
Wow.
join
Go ahead, Elena.
by going to keephopealive2020.org. That's the address for registration, for donations. You can find more information on keephopealive2020.org.
Okay, good. Excellent. In fact, maybe, Elena, for a moment, give us the history of this whole Pastoral Migratoria initiative.
Yes, actually, it was the USCCB, the U.S. the Conference of Bishops, who relaunched the Catholic Campaign for Immigration Reform, which is very well known as the Justice for Immigrants, that started in 2005. So our Archdiocese has always been one of the leaders at the national level working for immigration reform. And actually, this year is our quinceañera. These are 15 years on this long journey. And that's the reason why we call Keep Hope Alive, because we still are working, seeking justice for immigrants. In this case, with undocumented immigrants, we've been looking for immigration reform. So that's why we call Keep Hope Alive, and still going. And this is a fundraising event, but also commemorating. We need to start and pause and to say, the church has been accompanying immigrants in this long journey for 15 years, in the ups and downs on the road, a very long road, but the church in the name of Christ being present with the immigrant community.
Rich, how did you get involved in the immigration ministry?
Sure. I got involved by meeting Elena, and Elena is a very inspiring person. She's
Yes, she
passionate about this. Yes, absolutely, Father Greg. And Elena is an inspiring person, so when I met her maybe 8-9 years ago, I got hooked in real quick to their ministry. And, some of the things that I find most fascinating is that Chicago, the Archdiocese of Chicago, was the first archdiocese in the nation to have an immigration ministry, an official ministry dedicated to immigration. And no one better than Elena to lead that with her team. And her and her whole team just do such wonderful, wonderful work in support of the immigrant community in Chicago and nationwide now. They've been trailblazers. They've led the way. And so the support that we get from Keep Hope Alive really keeps this ministry alive, keeps them moving forward, allows them to do the significant work they do. And I think it's important for every one of us, all our listeners, all of us, to remember that we are a nation of immigrants. We all came from somewhere.
Yeah, I think, Rich, you hit it right on the head. People forget we are a nation of immigrants. And you can't stress that enough. People forget we all came from someplace. My roots historically, grandparents came around 1900 from Poland. How about for you, Mark?
Yeah, my grandma came here when she was 16 years old, and
From Italy.
From Italy, and my other grandma came from Poland when she was a young girl, and my grandpa, my Polish grandpa, came when he was a young man too. And they struggled, but people worked together. in those communities like they do today. I remember Old St. Pat's, John Cusick telling that story about the history of Old St. Pat's and the Irish immigrants when they came. They'd come on Sunday and stand on the front stairs and they'd yell out a town, and those people who are here from that town would take them in as immigrants.
Really?
Yeah, to kind of settle them in before they could, get a job and stuff. So,
Well, how about a couple of weeks ago we had that guest on the program here this in the morning regarding the Great Chicago Fire, October of 1871, and when the fire happened, they were blaming the Irish
right
for starting the fire, and so it's always like at different time, different places. You blame different groups, and Elaine, in the work that you do in this tremendous ministry, immigration ministry, what is your biggest challenge or frustration?
Challenge. Right now is, I think the major challenge and need is mental health. In different places, Pastoral Migratoria started in Chicago as a result of the failure of immigration reform, the legislation of 2007. But God turns things like that, failures of being and ashes, into a new life, and the new life is this ministry, which is Pastoral Migratoria, is the social ministry of the church, is an immigrant leadership. So the immigrants come and say, here I am, Lord, to serve you and to give my time and talents and respond to the needs of the parish community. So we're working always collaboratively with an organizations. Our primary collaborator partner is Catholic Charities, of course, and other organizations responding to the needs of the community. So in the last several months or years, I would say, but the pandemic also increased, and everything that's happening, mental health has been a major thing. And one model that we develop is train the trainers. First, we train people how to use technology during the pandemic, how to use their cells. Because some people, immigrants, not everybody has tablets or computers or laptops. They only have their cells. How to access information and resources using their cells. So we organize this, train the trainers in technology. So we train the leaders for the leaders at diocesan level. We're in different places in the country now, in 4 or 5 dioceses, and now they train the local leaders for the local leaders to train parishioners. So that's how we've been working
along the very same lines, Rich. Elena has expressed her greatest frustration in the work that she does. The fact that you are the chair of the Immigration Ministry Advisory Board, what do you find to be most challenging or frustrating, Rich?
I think gaining the empathy and the support we need for this unbelievable ministry. People sometimes just don't think the way that we need them to as far as the life-giving work that this ministry gives to people who are struggling, people who have no place to turn, people who are not being welcomed by our country in the way that they were for many, many decades. And it's not about illegal immigration. It's about immigration in general and finding a path to citizenship. Those things exist, yet we turn our faces on them. And, sadly, if someone is a person of color from another nation, they have an even more difficult challenge with getting accepted and finding a path to citizenship in our country. So the words on the Statue of Liberty just don't ring as lovely as they once did, where we tell people to give us their tired and their poor. We're not as welcoming as we should be. And I think as Catholics, as people of faith, as people of the Christian community, it's a moral imperative for us to find a path for these citizens to come to this country. What's happening at the border wall is just tragic. Take any administration in the last dozen years or so, it's just been a tragic thing to watch. And so we have to find that sense of warmth and empathy and understanding for those who wish to be a part of this nation.
Now, Rich, I have to ask you this. I mean, I'm just listening to you right now. I know you well. You're so gifted and have shared so much of your life with the Catholic community in Chicago for so many years, and your tremendous band and your background, and it goes on and on. We did the how before. In all that you do, and you're so busy, why are you making time for this particular ministry in your life?
Well, I guess on many levels, it certainly honors my own family, my own heritage. My grandparents and great-grandparents came from Italy. And it's a moral imperative. It's what we're supposed to do. It's, when asked to help, and Elena was kind enough years ago to ask me to assist in some ways that I could, How do we say no to somebody who is so dedicated and so passionate about what they're doing? How do we ever say no? I mean, you're a perfect example, Father Greg. You don't say no. You find a way. You find a path to yes. You find a path to affirmation. You find a path to help those who need help.
I've learned to say no a lot to Mark Teresi.
Yeah. And vice versa, and then it becomes a yes. Anyway,
Take us to break.
Rich, your granddaughter's name again?
Lucy Teresi.
Lucy Teresi. A lot of the work you're doing is an example to her about her history and
she moves into this
and the
world.
gifts she will have because of the work of her great grandparents. But anyway, and that's wonderful. A wonderful example. We teach by example. WNDZ 750 AM 312-255-8408 Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Teresi. We are live streaming, safe distancing with our mask on. We'll be back with Elena and with Rich in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. At Catholic Charities, we want to remind you that we are here for anyone who's a victim of domestic violence or anyone who has a concern about someone they think might be a victim. This annual recognition of domestic violence began in 1961. Domestic violence affects millions of people each year, both women and men of every race, religion, culture, and status. It includes physical, psychological, sexual, and emotional abuse, inflicted in both subtle and overt ways. If you or someone you know are victims of domestic violence and you are looking for a place to heal and recover, call Catholic Charities at 773-935-3434. That's 773-935-3434. We are working to bring hope and healing.
You're invited to Keep Hope Alive 2020, the online benefit and celebration of the Archdiocese of Chicago's Immigration Ministry and their nationwide program, Pastoral Migratoria. Join us virtually on the evening of Thursday, October 29th, for a night filled with music, camaraderie, and inspiring speakers. Cardinal Blaise Supich and Sister Norma Pimentel of Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley, who was recently recognized as one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people, will be joining us to help keep hope alive. Now, more than ever, the immigrant community, both here in the Archdiocese of Chicago and across the United States, needs the leadership formation and accompaniment that Pastoral Migratoria provides. Registration is free, and sponsorship and advertising opportunities are available. Visit www.keephopealive2020.org for more information and to register. Again, that's www.keephopealive2020.org.
Do you have a gently used laptop or desktop computer that is gathering dust in your home? Consider donating to our Catholic Charities Veterans Computer Project. We will clean out your device, give it new software, and repurpose it for a veteran who is looking for employment. Your gift will make an incredible difference in a veteran's ability to find a job. Catholic Charities provides veteran services throughout Lake and suburban Cook counties, giving participants an array of professional and personal support. Our veterans have served our country, and it is our privilege to serve them. To learn more about Catholic Charities Veterans Services and the Veterans Computer Project, call 847-782-4219. That's 847-782-4219.
We're back, WNDZ, 750 AM on your dial, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. We're talking with Elena Segura, the founder of the Pastoral Migratoria, and Rich Daniels, who's the chair of the Immigration Ministry Advisory Board for the Archdiocese of Chicago. I have question, this benefit is coming up, keeping hope alive, keep hope alive. And Elena, you had talked about particular needs like laptops, et cetera. Are there particular things you're looking to fund through this benefit?
Yes, actually, with the funding that we received, we're gonna get this year. It's divided into 50% for the national work and 50% for the local work. And in both, even at the local level, more than 70%, we have to raise ourselves, even locally. For national, 90+% we have to raise a fund. So everything that we do, our time, our resources that we develop, and we have an Immigration Parroquia, which is an e-newsletter that goes all over the country. It's developed here in Chicago. We've been developing this for more than 12 years already. So it comes from those basic information, and we provide literally it's a click for pastors to put in their website or in their Sunday bulletin and pass the information to anybody in the community. So those are the basic things. We have people we call pastoral companions. This ministry was developed based on the document of Aparecida with Pope Francis' approach. So accompaniment is very, very important. So we have people who work providing support at the local cluster level in Chicago. We have 5 areas with people with part-time people who provide accompaniment support to the leaders at the 6 or 10 territories.
Now, along those lines, then, maybe Rich for a moment speak about actually what's happening on Thursday to support all this. It's this Thursday, 6:30 p.m. How can people become part of it, and what does it cost, and who's being honored?
Sure. Well, the event is free, and we're inviting all listeners to tune in and to look online and find the link, which we'll give them for joining us on Thursday night. And, of course, when they come there, they're going to find a message from the Cardinal. The Cardinal's been a big proponent of this and a big supporter of the ministry. So the Cardinal will be giving us a message. And Elena will be speaking, as will some of the other members of the community. We'll be honoring some individuals for their work in the immigration ministry. And even though the event is free, it is a fundraiser for the ministry. So if anybody is so inclined, there will be links there provided. Vince Girasoli, the new director of radio, television, and film for the Archdiocese, will be our host on Thursday evening.
Well, that's wonderful.
And it is.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful man, a faithful man, and he's a tremendous asset.
In fact, want to know something, Rich? Beside Elena and Jennifer Segura being part of St. Mary's in Evanston, Vince Girasoli and his wife Heidi and daughters belong to St. Mary's in Evanston.
Oh, wonderful.
What are the odds of that?
I'm shocked that you didn't ask Father Greg to come and do a few jokes.
I'll get over it.
Well, we're hoping for the straw hat and a song and dance, maybe, but we'll take what we can get.
We got a stand-up comedian over there, Rich Daniels, and his comedy act.
Look who's talking. But anyhow, it's going to be a beautiful event on Thursday evening. We'd love everyone to tune in on the internet.
How do you join? How do you get on? How do you get on?
Elena, maybe you can give them the link if you've got it in front of you.
KeepHopeAlive2020.org.
Wait, KeepHopeAlive2020.org. Okay.
And again, it's free. And I think they'll find it engaging. It's about an hour long. Vince Girasoli will be the MC. The Cardinal will be there with us. Elena will be there. Other members of the Immigration Ministry. And there will be links for people to donate. Again, keep this in mind. This ministry works on a shoestring budget. Mm-hmm. They're amazingly transparent with the dollars they're given to be stewards of, and they do tremendous work in the community with the small amount of money they're given to work with. So every dollar counts so very much. So any benefit, anyone who could donate, you could donate now, you could donate before the event, after the event. Mm-hmm. It's an ongoing need, and this is a ministry really worthy of support of our listeners here on Catholic Radio. So they can find their great value with their dollars because they are such great shepherds of their funds.
So if folks can't tune in, how do they donate, either now or even after the event?
Yeah, just go to the website, just to the link, KeepHopeAlive2020.org, and you can donate right now.
Okay.
Anytime, before, during, or after the event. Yes.
And maybe one more important question, at least for me, and that is, in the work that you do, both Elena and Rich, a lot of it is just consciousness raising. Mm-hmm. Consciousness raising. I think people take for granted who is here, and those that are struggling, they put under the rug, they don't want to see it. But maybe just for a moment, one or both of you talk about the work that you do, what I call consciousness raising to make people aware of what's actually happening with our people in our country for immigration.
Yeah. Definitely this is a call for solidarity, and just Rich is a good example. When you're asking, why are you doing this? What are you doing? Rich is a great example of responding the call to be Christ. What would Jesus be doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
How could he respond to the community? Sometimes what we do among immigrants, sometimes we just cry together because it's so difficult. It has been years and years, and 15 years we've been fighting and struggling and really going this working for immigration reform 15 years. There are families who've been here for 20, 25 years, 30 years, and still.
Elena or Rich, is there a story, maybe a person, maybe a story of impact, some story you can relate to our listeners about how important this ministry is and how the funds really help?
I'll give you a quick story, and it was inspired and brought up.
Let me share this story in the room. We're in Stockton, California, Kansas City, Missouri, and the Archdiocese of New York. Chicago, of course, that's where the beauty of sharing this ministry with other places. But here in Chicago, we have a group of people who really want to become citizens. They are qualified citizens, but they don't know how to do it. So this ministry, at San Rita Church here in Chicago, they provide support, classes, what's the citizenship process. They help them to fill out the forms. They have a lawyer who helps them in the whole process, teachers who help them to practice, and they go to the immigration place the day of the exam to accompany people. And when they pass, they have a feast, and then the priest gives them the blessing when they become citizens. It's beautiful, the whole process, the whole community accompany these people who now we have new citizens. I think there are 150 new citizens who just became as a result in the last couple of years.
That is wonderful. Maybe in that closing moment, Rich, your quick story.
The quick story is that years ago, Elena invited me to the detention center where the immigrants are brought to when they're found to be brought back to their home countries. And to see them shackled, to see them put in buses with blackened windows, to see the barbed wire, to see them treated like, significant felons was dramatic. And to see their families block or two away crying and weeping as they watch their loved ones being hauled off to be sent back to their homes of origin, it was just startling. It was just horrible. And so it's quite a dramatic scene to witness. It happens, within 10 miles of downtown.
And I know that Elena goes every Friday to the deportation center. So as you're saying, it's hard to watch. I want to thank in a very special way Elena Segura, the founder of Pastoral Migratoria, and Rich Daniels, chair of the Immigration Ministry Advisory Board. The event happens this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. Please join. I want to thank in a very special way. Well, first of all, Rich and Elena, God bless both of you in the work you do. God bless your families, and God bless Grandpa there. Thank you very much, Mark Teresi, co-host. Great work of our producer, Vince Girasoli, our engineers, Michael May and Javier Garcia. Great job, gentlemen. For listeners, may God bless all of you. Have a great week. And tonight, go Chicago Bears, beat the Los Angeles Rams.
Exactly.